So I'm thinking about the world in binary, ones and zeros, on, off. There's once upon a time a very spoiled little girl known as my mother, Lynn Ann McCloskey. Mrs. Mac to others, Mrs. Mac's miscellany, Sheeny to Danny, her husband. There's a very spoiled child that could play the piano and knew how to compose. Don't you know? And she said, "What I want," and they said, "Whoa, the little chieftain wants something. What do you want? What can we do for you here?" And she said, "I want my composition to play my composition on my turntable," which literally, if you've ever seen RCA Victor, the dog listening to this like brass horn coming out of this like old wooden music box. And they said, ones and zeros. Let me see the composition, said some guy. Some other guy goes, "You get this started, and you know who's going to want it next." Some other little spoiled little chieftain going, "I want it. I want that. That's what I want, big man that does stuff. I want it." And the dandiest chieftain of all of them says, "Get her done. Get to it. Come on, it'll give you something to do. I seen you over at the burn. And why don't you two run off and bring me back a bucket of beer?" A whole bucket? And if I don't see 12 bottles there, I'm going to know who drank them and buy a round for the lads in the pub. And get some soda water for yourselves. Anyway, what they did is they took this crank thing. They used to start the car. And a rubber on a brass spindle, and she cranks this thing up every once in a while to this day and plays it for people to listen to the mechanical butchery they've done to her tiny hands. Created a masterpiece, and that was the best they could give her. Now, 1 off, 0 on. Somehow this man or that team of guys or ladies or whomever that cared about music too, they invented the staff structure and quarter time and half time and whatever. Today these are rectified as scale on a wavelength, sometimes as a sine wave. When you hit the absolute scale of 1, stop, a little happens. Because on a waveform in modern media, this is your bracket. This is your 3. This is your bridge, so to speak. And all that. Sampling rate is up to what you're using in ins and outs, because you can have to a minutia of sample, whatever kind of output you're getting is going to be dependent on how quick that thing can recognize the data in and data out. Now when I get a good loop going, for example, you want it to be at 0. You want your wave down to hit 0, and at the end of the loop in your song, whatever, and at the beginning of the loop, bing, right there at 0. So the end and the finish have to end at absolute 0, which is 1. Or 1, or in binary, off. How do the records play? It's ones and zeros. How does that play? It's ones and zeros. How does the code? It's ones and zeros. What's 1? Click. Go the light switch off. What's 0? Click. Go the light switch on. That's all it was to them back then. But looking at what this thing can measure, you're your own doctor, homeboy. Matt, Cat, whomever. You're your own doctor. I mean, like, if I look at this thing and it goes, Matt, my friends at the Humane Society need a round of food from me. And you know how it is. She might try to order stuff for them herself. That's up to her. I'm kind of old school. I'll see if I can do that for us. Peace.